Hi there, I'm Andre from Peak Motorcycles, and in this video I'm going to be showing you a new bash guard for my Kove 450 Rally. Now the standard one that comes on the 450 Rally is carbon fibre. It is super light, it is, perfectly fits the bike. The problem with them is that they are carbon fibre and they're a bit brittle. Now if you're racing and every gram counts, then you'd probably make that compromise to give you the protection that you need. If you do hit a big rock and you crack it, you can probably get one from your parts bin to replace it. I don't have that luxury, even from trying to lift the bike. I don't feel like I can really put a lift underneath the carbon fibre bash guard because I can kind of feel it moving a little bit. Adventure Spec have come up with one. It is made of alloy, and I will show you what that looks like. First thing I'm going to do is take the carbon fibre bash guard off my bike. It's just 4 bolts underneath, 1 bolt at the front, comes off pretty easily. Jim from Adventure Spec is here. He's going to help me do that. He's then going to show me the pre-production bash guard that they've got. I'll show you that on a table. I'll weigh them side by side. Spoiler alert, the carbon fibre one is lighter. Just let's get that out of the way. So we're not expecting to replicate that weight. What I'm hoping to improve is the robustness. And given where this is on the bike, it's like right at the bottom of the bike. So from a centre of gravity perspective, when I put a heavier bash guard on my CRF300, I really didn't notice. When I put some high up crash bars on my CRF300, I could really feel it. The further it is from the bottom of the bike, the more it impacts how it handles. So I've got high hopes for this. First up, get that bash guard off. So you can probably just about see Jim under there. So there's four bolts. I can't actually fit the camera down underneath, but take my word for it that they're all just in here.
Yeah, if I loosen them off, you just undo them finger tight.
So these are all of the Kove bolts that come that are both Torx and hex, and then there is just one that comes off at the front. There we go. So that is the carbon fibre bash guard off. If you haven't seen one of these when it's been off the bike, this is what a carbon fibre bash guard looks like. It is super thin. You can just about see that on the camera. Inside there's the tool thing on the right hand side. I must admit I didn't use that very much because I found that the tool pouch they provided did leak, so I took the tools out of that, but that's what that piece is there. Has some rubber padding that just helps it when it flexes up against the bodywork. There's the screws that came on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just let you know how much this whole thing weighs, and it is enormous. I mean, it is a big thing. It must be about what, 1.5 foot, maybe 40 centimeters across. So I put that on the scale. About 1.15 kilos, which for a piece that big is pretty light. But bear in mind, this is right at the bottom of the bike. Right then, I'll show you the Adventure Spec one. This is the Adventure Spec bash guard. Now, essentially, it is one metal plate under here, which replicates the base of the carbon fibre one. And these 2 pieces on the side, this one's already fitted. So you see it's got these metal fittings, the bolts go through, it's basically bolted all the way around. Here's one I can just show you. So this is essentially the piece that would go in, like that on this side. But it's all nicely powder coated. The fit and finish on the corners is all quite nice. Sometimes you get these things that have been cut and it's rough. Just show you that all the way around. When I compare that to the AliExpress parts I got, you can see it's been properly made. It's got a little AS Adventure Spec logo on there. One thing which it has, which the carbon fibre one didn't have, is this piece at the back. Just to show you this back piece. So what it actually has is it has this piece of quite sort of tough plastic that will flex, and that actually covers the whole of the suspension linkage. So I'll show you that when it's on the bike. If I flip that over, you can just see how far that comes. Sorry, it's been on the floor in my garage where it's a bit of concrete dust. As you can see, this is the sort of the ABS plate that's there. Again, nicely finished edges all the way around. If you can see that on the camera, hopefully that will show up. And ultimately that could be sacrificial. I mean, it's riveted on, so it's not going anywhere. But it would also probably slide, even just over that front edge. I mean, it's not like it's a big edge on the alloy. That is pretty straightforward. I think that looks like an easy thing to slide over rocks. What I will do now is I will weigh it. So this is the rack without the side piece with the ABS. I'll just pop that on the scale. Where's it going to sit? It's going to sit that way around. So that's 3.85. If I add the other side piece, 4.45. And if I add the bolts, it's basically 4.5 kilos. Yes, it is heavier than the carbon fibre one. Yes, it is also about 4 times thicker. It also has the linkage protection. It also has that ABS plate, so you could slide it over rocks. And while it is adding weight to the bike, which is something I never really like to do, I think that trade-off for protection and longevity. You know, I certainly feel that I could lift the bike with this, whereas I don't feel like I can lift the bike on the carbon fibre bash guard. Right, that is all of that really. Next thing I'm going to do is fit it to the bike. Now, I don't know if you can see, it's got the side piece fitted in here. It goes on exactly the same way with 4 bolts. Jim has kindly offered to do the bit on the floor to actually put that in. Now, it's 4.5 kilos. I think if I was doing this on my own, I'd actually get a lift underneath it to push it up into place. As there's 2 of us, we have the luxury of being able to lift it up. He's going to get the top bolt in, then I'm going to support the back of the bash guard while he does up the bolts. So yeah, if you don't have 2 of you, my apologies, you won't replicate this directly, but you could certainly get the top one in, you know, put a lift up, just wind the lift up underneath just to hold the back of it while you put in the rest. It does fit pretty much perfectly. Spoiler alert, we might have cheated and actually checked it beforehand, but it does go on pretty much perfectly, so you don't need to be faffing around a lot to try and get the bolts in the holes. Right then, sir, shall we?
Yeah, let's go for it. Cool, you can let go. That's...
Yep.
It'll just rest on the bolt though.
Certainly looks very robust. I even like the things that, I mean, I think the camera might just pick it up the way that you've got the radiator, our holes cut slightly differently from the airflow that's going to go over the exhaust.
And that's continued down here as well, obviously. Also, we haven't put any Loctite in these as well, so you'll be taking it off again and putting some Loctite in these too. You're all right, your choice. There we go.
Grand, thank you very much. You can come anytime. That is now fitted to the bike, but I just wanted to give you a very close-up look. Hopefully in the 4K you'll be able to see that. So the first thing I want to point out is that on this side we've got this side piece, and that does just unbolt with those bolts. And I think for doing an oil change, I could probably leave the bash guard on. I haven't done a video yet on my oil change, but I will film the next one. But essentially you have to remove the exhaust, which means getting to this bolt in here. And then if you can see just by my fingertip in there is where the filter is on this side that needs to come out. Coming around this side, you can see how the contours of it do follow the fuel tank pretty well. There is a small gap, about the same as what there was in the carbon fibre one. I like the fact it does extend very slightly further here, so you know you're really not going to catch anything on that. It's quite a complicated shape that's had to have been formed, you know, the folds in exactly the right places to get that to follow. If I come round to the front now, and you see that in there, this is the thing I mentioned about how on this side in here, that's where the exhaust is behind and the radiator is behind the other one. On this side, I'll give you a slightly lower look as well. You can see there's any corner that's on that is nicely rounded, though I don't think, you know, I expect to be catching too much of it on there. I think most of the action's going to happen underneath. On this side, as you can see, I've still got my carbon canister in there. That will be going fairly shortly, but that does give you a fairly big space that's away from the exhaust. Now, I think I'd seen some people had put a little tool pack in there or something. I need to look at what I can do to use that space on mine once that carbon canister is gone. There's certainly these big holes, so it looks like anything that's going to catch in it is going to drain really well. I just want to show you the linkage protector. Hopefully you can see that underneath there. That's that strip, the plastic strip that comes to the back, goes all the way underneath the bash guard from over there. So it does actually give you more protection than you get with a carbon fibre one. One thing to bear in mind is tyre clearance. Now on here I'm running the stock tyres. I've probably got 10 to 15 mil, something like that. If you're running bigger tyres, then you might want to just remove a little bit of the plastic. It'll just easily cut to do that. But yeah, that looks really good. One thing that I mentioned on the other side was just these holes. If I give you a look underneath while I've got the GoPro there, you can see, you know, just how well that would drain. I know that I tend to just try and rinse my bike off after I've been out for a ride, but not having to remove bodywork to get all the mud and the crud out is a real bonus. That's it. That is my video about the Adventure Spec alloy bash guard for the Kove 450 Rally. I think it's great. I'm going to leave this on my bike in place of the carbon fibre one. The carbon fibre one is lighter, which is the biggest difference. However, I know what the rocks are like in the Peak District. I know what my riding's like. And if I did break it, then yeah, I'd probably have to wait a while to get a new one and the expense. The Adventure Spec one, it is heavier. It also feels pretty solid. It's nice to have that suspension linkage protection and just having that plastic piece on the underneath to slide over things when the time comes. So big thanks to Adventure Spec for first of all sharing this pre-production prototype with me. I am probably going to leave this on the bike until they ask for it back. So if I see you out and about anywhere, that is probably what you will see. So I hope that's been interesting and useful. I will put a link to where you can find the bash guard in the description for the video, and maybe I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.